Microphone.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello. Sir.
Hello.
Good evening, everyone. It is now 6:59. We will be going into our council meeting at 7. I ask everyone to put their phones on silent or vibrate. It is now 7 p.m. I want to welcome everyone to the Eastpointe City Council regular meeting. It is September 7th, 2021. And in our meetings, we always start with prayer, giving honor to God. And I am so happy they added this before I got elected because it's so important. And then followed by that, we do a pledge of allegiance. And our invocation is led by no one other than our Mayor Pro Tem, Sarah Lucido. Good evening, Ms. Lucido.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Dear God, we are grateful for the many blessings you have given us. We ask for your guidance as we go about the business of the people of Eastpointe. Help us not to do anything out of selfish ambition or vanity, but rather develop grace and humility to regard the needs and desires of the residents as being more important than our own. Let us all use our gifts and talents to make our community a better place. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I
I pledge allegiance to the
The
flag
flag
of the United States of
States of
America
America,
and to the
the
republic for which it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and
liberty and
justice for
justice
all.
for all.
Thank you, everyone who joined us in the invocation and also the Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to start our meeting today with two proclamations. The first one is the Hispanic Heritage Month, and which is in September, and also the Constitution Week, which is September 17th through the 23rd, 2021. And I always want to allow council to read the proclamations. I know I do it all the time, but if any of the council members want to read one of these, I want to give you that respect to, if you want to or not, I can do it. Okay,
Sure, I can, well,
okay, which one, sir? You want to do the Hispanic Heritage Month?
did I step on you, Sarah? Did you say you could do it? Was that you or was that the mayor?
No, that's okay. You can go
Okay,
ahead.
yeah, Mayor, I could read the Hispanic one, then
Okay.
that would be
go ahead.
fine.
Thank you,
Sure.
sir.
Okay, City of Eastpointe Proclamation Hispanic Heritage Month, September 2021. Whereas with over 60 million Hispanic American residing in the United States, Hispanic Americans make up the largest minority group in the nation and have significantly contributed to our government, culture, and economy over the generations. And whereas the Hispanic community in America has made many important advances in the area of law, religion, agriculture, art, music, education, technology, agriculture, cuisine, theater, and exploration. And whereas Hispanic Americans have provided Michigan and the United States with unique social and cultural influences, fundamentally enriching the extraordinary character of our state and nation. And whereas Michigan is fortunate to count among its population a large number of residents of Spanish and Latin American descent who grow businesses, offer innovation ideas, strengthen our economy, and create jobs and contribute to our daily lives. And whereas during this month, Michigan Heritage American Community will celebrate National Hispanic Heritage Month through the series of special events featuring Hispanic history, food, dance, and art, celebrating the rich tradition of many contributions this community has made to the state of Michigan. And whereas the city of Eastpointe should recognize, appreciate, and honor the countless achievements of Hispanic American and continue our efforts to ensure our city is a welcoming and inclusive place that provides just and equal opportunities for all. Now, therefore, the City Council for the City of Eastpointe does hereby proclaim September 2021 as National Hispanic Heritage Month.
Thank you, sir. And our next one is the Constitution Week. Mayor Pro Tem, did you want to read that one?
Sure, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
City of Eastpointe Proclamation Constitution Week, September 17th through the 23rd, 2021. Whereas it is the privilege and duty of all Americans to commemorate the 234th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America with appropriate ceremonies and activities. Whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the assurance of proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor, Monique Owens, of the City of Eastpointe and the City Council do hereby proclaim September 17th through 23rd, 2021 shall be known as Constitution Week in the City of Eastpointe, and urge all residents to study the Constitution and reflect on the privilege of being an American with all rights and responsibilities which that privilege involves. We're in witness thereof, we have hereunto set our hand and caused the seal of City of Eastpointe to be affixed this 7th day of September 2021.
Thank you. I know sometimes down the line, we were thinking, I know me and some residents were talking about giving it an event here that celebrated all nationalities and all backgrounds with different food, culture, and things like that. So hopefully soon down the line, when some of this COVID is calmed down a little bit, we can bring that to fruition and celebrate all cultures in one event. That'd be very nice. So moving right along, we're gonna do a roll call. Good evening, Ms. Walton.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Councilmember Curley,
Here, Eastpointe.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Here in Eastpointe.
Councilmember Lucido,
Here, Eastpointe.
Councilmember Moore,
Here in Eastpointe.
and Mayor Owens.
Here in Eastpointe, thank you. Next is the approval of the agenda. Would council like to add or subtract anything to the agenda before we move forward?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the agenda as is.
Support.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes,
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
and Mayor Owens.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is the hearing of the public. The hearing of the public is a time for residents, for guests, business owners to come and get 3 minutes in the beginning and 3 minutes at the end to speak about the issues, concerns, ideas, opinions, about what you want to see or what's going on in the city that affects you. And so we ask you to be respectful because we have all ages, all backgrounds, and people listening because this is a public forum. So we will now open the hearing of the public, and when we ask you to speak, please say your name and your residency. Thank you. The hearing of the public is now open. Ms. Walton.
Right, let's see. I'm not seeing any hands raised at the moment, Mayor. I don't know if you want to give it a minute or two. Oh, AT Dub would like to speak.
Good evening, AT Dub. Good evening, AT Dub. You're on. We can't hear you, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you
Thank
hear me
you.
now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, hello, everyone. I was just, I used to live here. My name's Alan Tosney, and I reside in Eastpointe,
Okay.
at around 10 and Kelly. But anyways, I used to live here in the 80s, and I lived out west the rest of the time. But I just came back a few years back, and I just noticed that it's rather loud in the city with the main thing is the grass cutting crews. When they come into the neighborhood, it sounds like a helicopter is landing with these types of large riding mowers they have. First they do the riding mower, then they do the weed whacker, and then they do the blower. And it's kind of disturbing. It kind of disturbs the neighborhood. I don't know if there's any kind of noise ordinance you have as far as decibels go. I was down last couple of weeks ago, and they printed out the noise ordinance for me, you know.
And we can find that. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it doesn't mention anything about grass cutting or whatnot. That was the only thing I was really concerned about. And the other one, as far as noise, was people racing their bullet bikes up and down Kelly here quite a bit. It's probably dangerous. So I think a gentleman got killed last week down on 9 Mile in Kelly. So maybe, you know, if that could maybe be brought under control, that would be appreciative. You know, I would appreciate that. I think that's all I really have to say, just about the noise, you know.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
We're gonna look more into that because those are some important issues and valid points you made. And it probably bothers other people too. And so we'll look into that. Thank you, sir. AT Dub. Anyone else?
Mayor, I'm not seeing any other hands raised. I don't see anything in the chat.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Moving right along, the first hearing of the public is now closed. If you didn't get to speak at the first one, you get to speak at the second one. Next, we're going to approval of the minutes.
Madam Mayor, I would move to approve the regular minutes for August 17th, 2021.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll, please.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
We have no scheduled hearings. We have no unfinished business. We're going to go straight to reports from administration to our city manager, Ms. Doom. Good evening, Ms. Doom.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. I have some fun things to share with council and our community. We've got some new businesses that are opening. We just recently had a grand opening for a new barber shop called Elevation Barbershop. It's at 21059 Kelly Road. Although the ribbon cutting was last month, they'd certainly like to see you come in and visit them. Now on September 14th at 1 p.m., there's a grand opening and a ribbon cutting for Lady TX Marks the Spa. It's at 15028 East 9 Mile Road. And one of the things that are really a fun event that we're going to be having is Tails on Trails. It's a free community dog event at Spindler Park on Saturday, September 25th from 10 a.m. to noon. It's in partnership with Rare to celebrate Macomb County's Meet Me on the Trails promotion. So there's lots of fun things to do. We have quite a bit more coming up, but I'll share that as the months go on. We'll of course have the annual Deck the Halls auction at Eastpointe Manor in November. I'll bring that up a little bit later. But I just wanted to share some of the openings and some of the new businesses we have. We've got a lot of people knocking on the doors and meeting with our economic development director and our building director, all looking to, secure buildings and come to Eastpointe. So that's really positive news for all of us. And that's all I have for this evening.
Any questions for our city manager at this time, anyone? Councilman DeMonico?
Thanks, Mayor. Two brief things, Ms. Doom. The first, we talked about at the last meeting, the American Rescue Plan public hearing. I was just going to comment that maybe a good time would be after the MML convention, since a lot of council members and maybe some from administration are going, and I assume there will be a lot of coverage there. So maybe of course, we said we weren't in a hurry at the last meeting because there's plenty of time to allocate the funding, but figured maybe that would be a good idea after the MML convention.
Yes, excellent idea. Do you have a date that you think is preferable at this point, or wait until after the convention and we discuss again?
I looked back at our last meeting, and I think our motion was to just have you or city administration just set
Pick a date.
I don't know if someone else wanted to suggest one, but I think that was our motion last meeting.
Okay. Very good. What I will do is I'll send out a couple of proposed dates, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
After the conference.
Okay. Sounds good. And then the second item was just about 9 Mile. I was just assuming that once AEW put their draft plans together, that it'll come to the city council table then before we go out to bid for the construction project.
We actually have Ryan Kern with us this evening. If you'd like him to step in and give you a little bit of an update, this would be a great time for it.
All right, good evening, everyone. We have started back on the design of the 9 Mile project. We do expect to probably have the design complete here within about a month or so. And at that time, we would be sending to MDOT for their review and comment. At the same time, we can provide that to the city and council for review and comment as well. We're looking at probably putting it, by the time it goes through the process with MDOT for review and comment, we get final plans back over to them. We'd be looking at the bid process taking place right after the first of the year for spring construction.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
That's all I had, Ms. Doom.
Thank you.
I had a question. When would the absentee ballots go out?
Thank you. Thank you for asking, Mayor. Today we had a meeting this afternoon to approve the ballot language. Now that that approval is finalized and we had our team there, including Mr. Albright, we do have a target date of September 22nd. And we say a target date because we have to have the ballots delivered. We have to do testing of the machines. And so we give that our best estimate. So we're very hopeful by the 22nd or right around there that we'll be able to get those ballots mailed out.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I had. I know we got an update from our Director of Public Safety as well. Ms. Doom, do you mind if I hand it over to him if he's on here?
Not at all.
Director Rohit, how are you? You on here? Director?
Hi, Detective Lieutenant Merlot standing in for.
Oh, how you doing,
Director.
Detective?
Good,
You
how
have
about
any
you?
I'm good, thank you. You have any updates for us tonight?
Yes, it was a very, very busy holiday weekend. We handled 268 calls for service over the weekend. Department made approximately 11 arrests. We did have a couple incidents of note. One being, we had a one-man crime spree that went through the city. He was responsible for 2 carjackings and an arson and fleeing and elude. He was also responsible for a shooting that occurred in Shelby Township and also for a carjacking in the city of Detroit. And I believe 2 in the city of Detroit. He was apprehended Sunday morning and he is in custody and he's facing charges in Eastpointe, Shelby Township, and also Detroit. Officers in all 3 jurisdictions did a great job. And we had a armed robbery over at the Dollar General at 8 Mile and Gratiot. We had 1 suspect who entered the business and produced a handgun and stole cash. And that crime is currently under investigation by the Violent Crimes Task Force. Upcoming on the 15th of September, we are doing new officer interviews. I think we have approximately 6 candidates that we're going to interview, and we do have 4 positions open. And that's about all I have.
Thank you. Now, was one of those robberies at that car wash on 9 Mile and Kelly?
Yes, we one of the carjackings did occur at 9 Mile and Kelly and one on Gratiot, just south of 10 Mile.
Yeah, because I had a backpack event and one of the mothers there who came and brought their child, they were telling me about it and she was very still startled. And that's where, you know, most of the community goes to. That's right around the corner from my house and I go to. And I think a few hours before that happened to her, I was going to go up there with my daughters. So I guess I want to know, with all that going on in the city, what do we have? What's our strategy to diminishing all this crime that's coming to the city? Do you have a strategy in mind? Do we need more police? Well, we always need more police.
We always need more police officers. We need to be proactive, and we've been proactive, and we're out there conducting investigations and stops. And as you can see, we handle a lot of calls for services. I think we handle approximately 26,000 a year calls for services. So if we had more officers to put on the street, that would be great. Right now, we are down 4 officers, so we are running short. But the officers that we have, they're working hard and they're doing a great job and they're making arrests every day.
Next question is, and then I'm gonna let you go or let council ask you some questions. At any of these locations that we had these incidents that occurred, do we have any cameras that were located there? Because I know me and the director, and I believe Ms. Doon, we were in a conversation that trying to make it somewhat mandatory that businesses have cameras since the crime is going up. So did any of these businesses have cameras that helped you all solve these crimes, or
yes,
how did that work?
We do have camera footage of the incidents, of 2 of them, 2 of the 3 incidents that occurred in Eastpointe. That would be great to have a mandatory surveillance cameras on all our businesses, and because that would help immensely in solving crimes.
I think so.
Yes, that would be great.
So.
I know Detroit has a green light program, and for something like that to come to Eastpointe, that would be great, that we would have access to those cameras. Even if a crime doesn't occur at that business, we may get a car fleeing the scene where we didn't have a description of the car in the first place, but then we get a car fleeing the scene and we're able to develop some more leads from surveillance footage. So that would be a great program to have.
Yes, sir. If that's something that council would want to invest in and have the city manager look more into, I think that'd be an investment for the city that would, it would decrease crime and make people who try us, they would try somewhere else. So that might be something that we want to think about in the near future. So thank you. Anyone have any questions for Detective? Saying none, thank you.
Thank you.
Detective.
Thank you
Moving
very
forward.
much. Have a good night.
You too, sir. We're gonna move right along to our finance director, Mr. Blum. Good evening, Mr. Blum.
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council. I have nothing to report tonight. I am actually on vacation today, so there could be stuff going on. I just don't know about it. But if you have
Okay,
any questions, go ahead.
okay, like you had a staycation. That looks fun.
Yes,
Council, any questions for our finance director? Saying none, moving right along to our city attorney. Good evening, Mr. Albright.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of council. Madam Mayor, I have a relatively short report this evening. Ms. Hardcastle has requested that 4 properties be scheduled for show cause hearings. Those properties include 22763 Oakwood, 18103 Lister, 22476 Brittany, and 22020 Cushing. Available dates for the scheduling of those show cause hearings, assuming the council wants to do it on a regularly scheduled meeting evening, would be either September 21st or October 5th. That would give enough time to get the necessary and legal notices out to the property owners.
You said possibly the next meeting or the meeting after that?
Yes, it
Around
would be either
6 usually.
September
Yeah,
21st, October 5th, beginning at 6 o'clock.
Okay, council, you agree to that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would prefer October because we have MML on the 21st.
I was going to say the same thing.
So that date is fine in October. Mr. Albright?
October 5th? Yes.
Yeah. Is that
Thank
good,
you.
council?
Yep.
That's fine.
Okay, October 5th.
Yes, yes,
Okay. I'll get the
Councilwoman
necessary.
Moore, that's good for you?
yes.
Okay. Okay,
And that's all I had, Madam Mayor. Council's in receipt of our monthly status report. Certainly happy to answer any questions.
any questions, council? Yes, sir, Councilman DeMonico.
Thanks, Mayor. Just one question, Mr. Albright, about the
Yes.
marijuana applications.
Yes.
Just update on that.
Yes, city administration did email me the almost final versions of the forms over the weekend. I have reviewed those, and I met with Kim Holman this afternoon over at City Hall after I attended the election commission meeting, and myself and city administration are going to be meeting sometime later this week. We still just need to check with everyone's schedules to go over those forms for finalization and hopefully make those available to the public in the very, very near future.
Okay.
So that's where we're at. You're welcome.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir, Councilman.
Rich, this question is going to put you on the spot, and I don't mean to do that.
Okay.
But if you would take your educated guess, if you will, can you give us an approximate date that you would think that you would be actually interviewing applicants for the 3 licenses for the marijuana?
Harvey, that's a great question. It's hard to say when the actual interviews are going to take place. I believe that the applications themselves should be available in approximately 2 weeks. I think we're at that point, and I don't know, Kim, are you one of the participants in the meeting? I don't know if Kim is also here. But then after the applications go out, it's a matter of receiving them and going through them and making sure which ones initially comply with the ordinances and making sure all the paperwork is in order. And then actually scheduling those applications to then be considered by the board. So I think at the next council meeting, I should have a better timeframe for you as far as when the applications will, or when that timeframe or that window will close. But as it stands right now, I believe that the application should be ready in approximately 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Seeing none, moving right along to new business. Item A, the adoption of resolution number 21-1930, the designation of a street administrator. Council, any discussion on this before we go into voting? I know I had one question. Who was our street administrator before our director? Palucci.
Mayor, I think the last person that was designated was Joe Marucci.
Okay. So why are we taking him off of it?
Historically, we've had the directors in that position, and then it's actually a conversation that just came up in MML. It's very similar in all other communities. The director of public works is typically the street administrator.
Okay. I don't have any reason not to not think Mr. Palucci can do the job, but I just want to know who was in that position first and why we changed it. So, okay. Council, any questions or anything? All right,
No,
let's
Madam
go.
Mayor, I have a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll motion to adopt resolution number 21-1930, designating Darren Palucci to the street administrator.
Second.
Motion and second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes,
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
and Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Next item is approval of DivDat payment kiosk. I had a question on this before we move forward. Now, Ms. Doom, with
Yes,
this, I know when they go to pay the water bills, I know a lot of people was complaining about that percentage that they have to pay with a credit card, which is ridiculous. So they won't be charged that on here, right?
I'm going to turn this over Mr. Blum. He's done quite a bit of research on this. And so he'll be able to let you know what the fees will be. And we had a couple of very good questions posed to us earlier. I was able to answer a few, but Mr. Blum will answer the rest of them. So Mr. Blum, if you would start with that, please. Oh, can't hear you.
How now?
Can hear you now.
Okay. I love Zoom. The fee to the residents with this kiosk would be nothing. So anybody that's paying with a credit card where they used to pay the 2.95, they would not pay anything. The city would be charged $1.95 per transaction, plus $1,000 a month on it's called a communication fee, basically the network that ties it all together. This would be available 24/7. So what we have is a lot of people would like to do credit cards, but they don't want to pay the fees. They would now be able to use the kiosk and do it that way. Or people that wish to pay in cash, if they can't get here Monday through Thursday between 8 and 4:30, they have to run out and buy a money order and put it in the drop box, things like that. So they would actually be able to make a cash payment at the kiosk. They can also do checks there as well. But it is a service to the residents. Like I said, it would be available 24/7. What I'm looking at, and we've looked at this for a while, and it's always been more expensive than the cost of a cashier. They have now got the pricing down where at the current $13.50 an hour that we pay for a part-time cashier, this is pretty much a break even. And as wages go up, we'll actually be better off with a kiosk than with hiring a third cashier. I am down one person already, so nobody's losing a job with this. But I also have there's a tight labor market, and we've been struggling to find that third person to fill the slot. So either need a third part-timer or the kiosk. This would be an outdoor kiosk, and they are waiting on additional chips to come in. So it'll probably be November before this is installed. But we need to get in the queue to be on their list.
For safety purposes, now I don't know about all this DivDat payment kiosk, but how would they have that, people paying cash? Would anybody be able to rob that area? Or, does that increase crime or anything? I mean, how are we gonna make sure that people are safe when they having cash and all type of night, you know, putting cash in that machine?
It'd be similar to using an ATM, depositing cash.
I can't hear you, sir. A little bit louder.
All right, it'd be similar to using an ATM. You go there, you can make a deposit with
Okay.
cash. It will be located up near the main entrance by the drop box. So
Okay,
we will have camera, we'll have lighting. It'll be as secure as anything we can do after hours.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
Councilman
just,
DeMonico? Oh,
I'm sorry.
Council-
No, go ahead, Carney.
Councilman
Go ahead.
DeMonico, and then Councilman Curley.
That's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
My question was, so I see the $1,000 monthly fee. I saw some text about if there were at least 350 monthly transactions after 90 days, that they'd place the kiosk at no charge. I think I was kind of just confused as to how that all worked. Can you explain that a little better?
$1,000 a month is a fixed amount for the communication piece. If we
A little
do-
bit louder, sir.
I don't know what's going on with the mic tonight. The $1,000 is a flat amount for the communications. That includes providing us a detailed file that we can import directly into BSNA, which is why we're going with DivDat. It's one of the few that actually can coordinate with our software. If we do 395 transactions on the kiosk per month, they will waive any additional fees. If we don't do the 395, it'd be an additional $2,500 a month. However, we do more than 395 credit card transactions a month already, and they would all be directed out to the kiosk. So I'm not concerned with not hitting that number.
So it'd still be the $1,000 a month plus the
Plus
transaction fee.
$1.95 a transaction, correct?
Okay. And then so say you said that people can pay their DTE and consumers energy bills. Do DTE and consumers energy pay those fees then, I assume?
Correct. We pay fees only for Eastpointe transactions. And that's the other thing. This is part of a network. So there are kiosks around Southeast Michigan. If somebody works in Mount Clemens, they can make a payment in downtown Mount Clemens. If they happen to be going to Fresh Choice to buy groceries, they can pay their water bill at the kiosk there. So there's other options than just the City Hall kiosk.
And then what's my other? So I thought I had one more question, but maybe I'll think of it. Move on to the next council person here.
So what you were saying was, because you had some good questions. So you were saying that consumers energy and DTE, it's for those, it's already registered where it only charges them and not Eastpointe, correct? It's only charging Eastpointe residents. Okay. Well, Eastpointe residents with the name that says you owe Eastpointe. So, okay.
Yeah, you reminded me, Mayor. Yeah, it was if someone pays all three bills, like each consumers would get a transaction fee, DT would, and we would. I guess, yeah, that was my question.
Yep.
Okay, and we're not paying their transaction fees.
We don't
Okay,
pay their transactions. Yep.
thank you.
Well, when you think about it, they need, okay, so monthly networking fee. So with the $1,000, it's a lower price because all networks are using it. So I take it all of them are putting some type of money to make sure, like a cooperative, you know how all the libraries get together so they have a lower fee? Is it like that? And that's why the fee is only $1,000? But if not, I feel like DT and consumers need to help us with that $1,000 because we're serving their customers too. So is that what it is?
All I know is that is the DivDat pricing. I don't know how they developed the $1,000.
I didn't really hear you, Mr. Blum.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I think that what it is like we're paying $1,000 because they can pay city water bills there. So DTA pays their own $1,000 a month for that service, and then consumers pays their own $1,000 a month for that service.
Okay, at that
I
one.
think that when I read it, that's the way I understood it. So like that we're paying it because we're using it for our water bills. So DTE would have their own $1,000 they pay in consumers.
Okay, so everybody is getting paid. I just didn't want us to be paying and
Right.
everybody is using it. You know, everybody is using it. We're paying it and they're, you know, and it's convenient for them and not for us. So yeah, okay. Sounds good. Thank you for explaining that a little bit more. Councilman Curley.
Oh,
Sorry about
all right.
that.
Thank you. Randy, a couple of things. So the 24th, it says an estimated cost of $24,000, right? And that's based upon a certain number that you're guesstimating how many people will use it per month, which is how much? 500 a month?
Yeah, correct. It's
Okay.
I'm estimating right around 500 transactions a month, just based on our current credit card activity plus people that
Right.
pay with money orders.
So when we make, if we make the motion and it's approved, to approve the agreement, and you're guesstimating $24,000 a year. And that's pretty much open-ended, isn't it? I mean, how, we make a motion to approve it and we suddenly get a bill one month and it's extremely higher than 24,000. Who do we beat up?
Well, that would mean that we have a lot more residents using the kiosk, which is not a bad thing. I will say this is a 3-year agreement, but after 1 year, we have a option to cancel. So if it does get to be too expensive, we can cancel the kiosk and go back to in-person cashiering.
Okay, and this bottom line is, oh, how do I put this, Madam Mayor? We're placing a part-time person, not a full-time, a part-time person. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Sounds like you said that's correct. I can't hear you.
Okay, yeah, that is correct.
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
I just have one comment. You know, reading through this and looking into it, I'm really excited to offer this to residents because I know a lot of residents that work during the day. They can't get to City Hall to pay those water bills at City Hall. And a lot of people don't use checks anymore. So mailing it is an inconvenience, and having to get a money order is a way bigger inconvenience than just running up here and being able to pay it outside in the parking lot on their way home from work. So personally, I'm really excited. I think it's well worth the money. I think it's definitely worth to have this service for our community.
Sounds good. Councilman DeMonico.
And I just had one more question. I agree with everything Mayor Pro Tem Lucido said for sure. I think this is for sure a great service. It sounds like after all the answers we just received. I was wondering about, there's just probably got to be other companies that provide this service. And this is, you know, obviously well over, you know, it's going to cost us well over $5,000 a year. How come we didn't just throw this in Mint and see if anyone else, you know, offers this? You know, someone might do it for less than $1,000 a month, that sort of thing.
Oh, I thought he said this is the only one that is connected to BSNA. Is that correct? Is that why?
There was only 2 kiosk networks that communicated with BSNA directly. All other ones would have to write the programming, which would have been cost prohibitive. And the second company was more expensive than DivDat.
How do you know there's only 2?
BSNA gave us the names.
Okay, what's the other company?
Actually, it's been a few months. I don't recall. I can get it for you though.
Okay.
One more question, Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir. Councilman Crowley.
Thank you. Randy, where would this, yeah, I agree. Where would this be placed? I can't hear you. You're totally dead.
Placed near the main entrance, under the overhang near the drop box.
Okay. So if it's raining, they have a protection.
Correct. Yep.
Any other questions? Might want to go ahead and make a motion.
Yes, Randy. I noticed something here about greeters. Can you discuss that part?
What part?
In the event that DivDat and the customer agreed for a greeter at the kiosk?
Oh, they will have, when it's first installed, they will have what they call greeters at City Hall showing people how to use the kiosk. They will be there for the first week. We can request them to be there longer. I believe there's going to be a charge for that, but the idea is we would have them here right around water bill due date and have them spend that week. And basically they would catch people as they're coming in and show them the kiosk and how it works and get them familiar with it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You want ready to make a motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the agreement with DivDat to provide a payment kiosk at City Hall.
Support.
Motion and support, please call the
Mayor.
roll.
Mayor?
Yes,
just-
sir.
Sorry, just
Councilman
one quick comment before we vote. I think this is a great service, but I'm just gonna vote no, because I think we should have bid this out to see if there were, I guess, what price the other company to offer and do what we normally do for this sort of project. But other than that, I think it's a great idea.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Just one, if I might, Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Brandy, I think I thought with your volume, I thought I heard you say that this host, that's Sylvia talked about, that they would charge us for for them to send somebody out so that we would learn what their system is. Is that what you're saying?
Only
Can't.
they would provide a greeter, as they call it, the first week the machine is installed. If we wanted somebody longer than a week, then we would get a charge for that. It's
Okay,
not
so
to train our people, it's to train the residents on how to use it.
Okay, so the first week, we don't pay anything.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we got a motion and the support on the floor. Guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Please call the roll. Thank you.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
No,
Next item is the rescinding of city council motion regarding the joint and crack ceiling bid award. Council, any discussion? We have our director, Palucci, on here. Did you want to talk more about this? If council had any questions?
No, I don't, Madam, I don't have any questions, but first thing we need to do is rescind a motion from back in July before we can make a new motion.
Yeah, but while we were rescinding, I just wanted to see if you all had any questions with our.
Yeah,
Yes.
or Brian can speak to that.
Did you have anything, Mr. Palucci? Anybody have any question? Or you guys want to move forward?
I have one question, I guess. They probably don't know the answer, but I'm not really sure why they would bid on a project they weren't able to fulfill it. Like, I mean, how common is this to happen?
Not very common, I'll say that, but I guess this project was a little unique just because we did bid this out in late April. And spent some time doing some research on the low bidder that we had never worked with before, and in doing that research found out that they weren't capable of doing the work that we were proposing. Their only experience was with asphalt streets and not with concrete streets. So we went to the second low bidder at that time, which was Al's Asphalt. So we were about 60 to 90 days beyond the bid at that point. When I talked to Al's Asphalt before we did award the project, they said that they were still interested in doing the work. In the process between that time and when we actually awarded the project, they won some other bids to where they basically overbooked themselves, and that's how we ended up going with moving on to the third low bidder, Cars Outdoor Services, which is the next item on the agenda. And speaking with them, they can get on the work right away and finish it by the end of October. So it is rare that would happen, but I think because it's been this process has gone on a few months, they've picked up other work in the meantime.
Okay, thank you. I can make a motion, Mayor, if everyone's ready.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll motion to rescind the city council's motion approved on July 6, 2021, awarding the joint and crack ceiling bid to Al's Asphalt Paving Company due to the company stating that it cannot perform the work in compliance with the bid specifications.
Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Next item is the bid award for joint and crack ceiling. Council.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I would move to award a 2-year 2021, 2022 joint and crack ceiling bid to the low bidder capable of performing the work, Cars Outdoor Services Incorporated of Canton, Michigan, for the unit prices stated in the company's bid dated April 22nd, 2020, for an annual amount not to exceed a total of $150,000 for the local and major road fund combined.
Support.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes. Next item is the scheduling of public hearing for supplemental community development block grant, the CDBG CB funding. Council.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'll motion to schedule a public hearing for Tuesday, September 21st of 2021 at 7 p.m. to solicit public comments on the proposed plan for supplemental community development block grant, CDBG-CV funding.
Support.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes. Next item is discussion and possible motion on 16104 Juliana water bill, and this was requested by Councilman DeMonico. Councilman DeMonico, you have the floor.
Sure. So just a brief introduction on this water bill on Juliana. Was just brought to the attention of City Council basically, but in 2019, the city charged $49,439.43, and I'm not off a decimal, to this water account. And so I wanted to bring this up because from looking at the information I've been provided that all of City Council's been provided, it does not seem that this is accurate or appropriate. So I just wanted to bring that up. I don't know if the city, anyone, Ms. Doom, you wanted to review this with us, but I was possibly looking at making some sort of motion on this because it does not seem like they actually used this water.
Well, what I'm going to do is first turn it over to Mr. Palucci. He has all the paperwork, so he'll give you some background information. And then if necessary, he'll turn it over to Randy at that point. So Mr. Palucci, if you would, please.
I will. Thank you, Elke.
You're welcome.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to try to explain to you how our meter system works here. And I'm going to start with this. This is a MTU, meter transmitting unit, okay? This is what sends the signal from your water meter to our billing system, okay? This is what we call an RTR, a read-all transmission unit. This sits on your meter and reads the units of water that goes through your meter. Okay, so as far as 16104 Juliana goes, this meter, this MTU sent a reading every single day for very low usage, maybe 1-2 units a month. The number on this unit was 732. Okay.
Hey, can I?
Yep, jump at any time.
When I reviewed it, it was at least 4 units a month from 2011 to 2019.
So I looked at it myself. It ranged anywhere from one unit to 4 units to 5 units. Yes, you're absolutely right. They were getting bills for, I also went back in billing. They were getting bills sometimes for only 1 unit.
I
So
mean,
they
it was
were
quite
literally-
variable for sure. It was
It
more
was
variable.
very low. And
No,
so we'll touch
variable.
base on,
So,
yes, okay. So at that point, this gave us no indication that something was going wrong. It didn't give us like a zero consumption, which we have reports for, or it didn't give us the same number every single day. So we really never saw anything going wrong with this.
I have a question
Yep.
before you move on. Do you have any idea on how long it was reading incorrectly?
Well, we have an idea. So I'll start a little bit. We put this in with the new system in 2006, okay? August 12th, 2006, we put this in. I looked at it month by month, year by year. It seems like in 2011, it started going started reading a lot higher and then started reading a lot lower. But, you know, I don't know if different people moved in that house. I don't know what their habits are. So again, I'm going to estimate 2011 on that number, okay? But again, it never gave us any sure signs that something was going wrong. It always gave us a reading, okay? So going forward, we were called to the house in July 2019 for dirty water, okay? So the customer called us for dirty water complaint. We went in, long story short, there was a water main break in the area and it stirred up all the water. So the first thing we do is we read this RTR, which is the read all transmitter unit. The only job this thing does is measures the water that goes through that meter, okay? There is no way that this can be wrong. It's never been wrong. It's always our go-to on meters. Now, this has gone reverse. I know I jump around a little bit, but we've credited people before as well, okay? So it's not always at the city's advantage. So we went in there and we read that this thing read 4,675 units of water, which is the real amount of water that went through that meter. That I'm certain of. And then the MTU that showed us 732 units. So that's where we came up of the difference of 3,900 and something units, 3,943 units. Now, to keep going with that, as soon as we put the new MTU in, 2 months later, they used 32 units of water in 1 month and 27 units of water the next month. So we can see that that was a little bit of their history. Go ahead, Cardi, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say they did have readings like that before 2019 also.
Not
And from your own, I mean, from the document you provided us, the meter read August 17th, 2015 was 21 units. So I mean, not quite 30, but 21 is very high. And the month just before that, so in 2 months, they used 41 units because then July 21st, 2015 was 20 units.
You know, unfortunately, I didn't get what you're looking at, so I wish I did. So I can't compare, I can't make comment on that. If I would have known those dates, I would have went into the Aclara system and looked at them myself.
Well, and that's not the only two. I mean, there were a few other months where it was about 20, but so I averaged it all out because there were certainly some where it's recording 1 unit, you know, which is obviously very low. But then some, here's like a 10, here's a 12, you know, so 22 units in 2 months again. So that's where I came out with the 4 average because some are very low and then some are very high. I'm pretty sure my, you know, math was, it's at least close for sure. I don't, you know, it might be a month.
So
or,
was that
you know,
prior to 2019?
yeah,
That's
this
when we
is
changed
all,
it.
yes, yeah, from 20, yeah, these were all the numbers I just gave you were between 2011 and 19.
Okay, I didn't see those, but so what the city has done since I've started and even been with other cities before this, we always go with this RTR. It's called a record all transmitting unit for a reason. There's no way for this to malfunction. It simply measures the water that goes through the meter. So there is a moving part in it. It's called a nutating disc, and it's a disc that goes back and forth measuring the amount of water that goes through. This is an electronic unit. We can see where this could have gone wrong. Now, we know it malfunctioned. We don't know if it was a defective one or if it was tampered with, but we know one thing for certain. The water went through the MTU and we ended up paying GLWA for it, which we do every drop of water that goes through the meter system at 8 Mile and Gratiot and 8 Mile and Kelly. There's a meter on that where Detroit sends us the water and we get billed for it accordingly. So hesitantly say, if it's a water main break, that's unmetered water. If it's water we're not billing somebody, that's unmetered water, and that's what the city's paying for.
So I guess the usage didn't seem too different to me pre-2019 and post-2019. So how, I mean, because if you average, you know, I guess we're saying we don't know how long it was, but even say it was back to 2006, which would be almost double the amount of time, it'd still be a ridiculous amount of units per month. We're saying we underbilled them 38 units a month, like a month. How is that reasonable when after 2019 they're not using 38 units a month?
Well, I think that Miss Kroc was a landlord at that time, so she was renting the house out, so she didn't know what the water bill was. They just continued to pay it. You know, as I look at the history of everybody's water, it gets very confusing because I don't know who moves in and who moves out, or who had a leak that month, or who didn't, or what they're doing. But I can tell you for certainty that, and I won't say it again, the 4,675 that's on here is not an uncommon number for an RTR that was put in 2006. I actually see numbers much higher than 4,675. I would gather to guess, if you probably know what yours is, Cardi, right? Is anywhere close to this since it was installed in 2006?
Well, I can probably pull that up, but I don't know if.
I mean, I see numbers, I see 6,000 and 8,000 units used since these were installed in 2015 or 2005, 2006.
I know my read's at 566 right now.
You really watch your water. Congratulations.
It's not an uncommon number. $50,000 bill?
No, yeah, I'm sympathetic. I've talked to Tez many times, literally gave her my personal cell phone number. This is what we live by. It really is. This is the record all transmitter unit. I've talked to Badger about these being defective. They've never had one situation where this was defective. Now, I've talked to Aclara. I actually have a request in with them right now. And in the simplest words, these things do go berserk. Why? I wish I knew. And I did the same thing you did. I was all over this person's water bill, jumping around from month to month, trying to find out, you know, where they were at. And I have no explanation for it. My only explanation is we go by what's on this. And that's why they got the bill, what we call a catch-up bill of 39 or 3,900 units.
So,
Councilwoman, excuse me.
yes, thank you. So I have a question. So you're saying that their average bill probably would have been about $560 a month. If, let's just say that would have been $560 a month would have been the average bill that you're saying comes out of that house. And you're saying that there's houses in Eastpointe that have higher water bills than that every month?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, be honest with you, I don't really see water bills. That's not my end of it. That's City Hall and billing. But I see people use 30, 40, 50 units a month easily. Matter of fact, we hand out, and I'm sure you know this, we hand out high consumption notices every single month, and we put them on people's doors. And, and I used to do it. And people would say, yeah, we know about that. And we move on. But
My-
yes,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, real quick. My biggest concern is the fact that this went on potentially for 8 years and the city didn't catch it. I mean, that means all of us here, and everyone listening to this meeting, better go out and check their water meter because we might have a $50,000 water bill coming. Like, how do we know? If we don't know of a leak or something like that, how do we know if ours is not reading right? That's a concern to me as a resident, that the city is not able to catch this. I understand if it was a few months, maybe even a year that it went on, but to go on for 8 years, it seems.
I agree, but it never gave us an indication that something was going wrong. It never gave us like a 0 reads for 3 months, or that would be a 0 consumption list, or it never gave us the same read for 3 months, meaning this thing stopped working, we better get in there. Or it never gave us extremely high reads. So it never gave us any indication to come into this home. But I agree with what you first started saying. When you get your water bill, I wish more people were listening. You should go downstairs and take that number and make sure that it matches what your meter says. And it goes both ways. We've credited people more times, you know, Randy would know that better than I, but we give out credits as much as we give back the water catch-up bills is what I call them.
So I guess my question would be, is there any way to prevent, for one, this happening again? Because I'm concerned for the residents. I'm sure that there's not many residents in the city that would be able to pay that water bill. Whether, even if it was only even the half, like we make a payment arrangements with them, they probably couldn't even pay $25,000 water bill. You know, most of the residents here don't have that kind of money. And if they don't know, it's one thing if they're getting it every month, you know, and they're paying that monthly bill, but they're not saving that money. They didn't know they had to because they didn't know their water meter was broken for 8 years.
I completely agree.
If there's a solution, I guess if there's some way, something you can think of that we could do besides asking the residents, because we can't trust all the residents. Like you said, there's a lot of renters in the city too. There's not all just, you know, residents that own these homes to maybe make sure this isn't happening to other people.
So there is hope, and I'll tell you why. In 2006, when we installed this meter system, it was the latest and greatest. The meter system before this was literally walking door to door, getting meter reads, or going to those what we called outside readers. Okay, this was literally one of the pioneers of the sending units, sending the reading from the house to our office. This thing had a life of 10 years, a battery life of 10 years, and we just got 16 out of it. So that's why we are going to that new meter system, which, you know, we're still waiting on chips. So, you know, City Council approved the new meter system. I don't know the date in front of me. And we're going to be getting all new these and these to go in houses within the next, hopefully, couple months.
Director, I have a couple questions. You want to go ahead, Councilwoman?
Yeah. I'm sorry. So what you're saying is the one on that house only lasted 5 years. Because you're saying you're estimating it was 2011, it was installed in 6. So that's what I'm saying is, I mean, once again, was there any sort of warranty on those that, I mean, there was a malfunction there.
They had a prorated, if it died before 10 years, they gave us a prorated price on replacing it, but that wasn't much. Nothing in the means of a $40,000 water bill. Now, don't get me wrong, I've reached out to Eclair on this and I haven't gotten a response back. And so I can't tell you what they're telling me because there's still an open work order on this. So I don't have an answer to that.
Okay. Now you said she found out her water bill was that certain amount at what year was that?
2019.
So she just found out.
Oh, well, we changed the meter on 6/26 of 2019. I mean, that's a billing question, but I'm sure it was very shortly after.
Okay, so she started getting that. So way before 2019, she's after all this time, after 8 years, she's finally seen a bill that was almost $50,000.
you know, Randy would have to speak on that. There was some offers made to her, you know, I want to get through all of this. There were some offers made to her about paying the bill and getting a percentage off, making some payment plans. And that was with finance, not me.
Well, what I'm saying is, when did she, when was it made aware? So they waited 8 years to say something, or was it made aware before the 8 years? Because I can't foresee someone waiting 8 years. Because I mean, when I get my water bill and it's $120, I'm pulling my hair. So $50,000 is like, come on now. So are you telling me this person waited all this time to say something?
No, she wasn't aware of it until 2019, when we came into her home. We came into her home
Okay.
on a dirty water complaint, you know, and that's when we looked at the discrepancy between the MTU and the RTR.
So who's been paying the
She didn't know
bills?
about it.
So who had been paying the bills before that then? Because you still have to do you still have to pay for the ready to serve, correct?
Yeah, her tenant was paying that bill.
Oh, so you're saying the tenant was aware of it and she wasn't?
I don't know
Possibly.
if anybody was aware of it, to be honest. You know, they were just paying the bill, which was lower than it should have been.
So could this happen? Can a certain amount of water, because I'm trying to learn this whole water sewer thing. Now you're saying that the RT?
It's the RTR reader.
The RTR reader lets you know how much money, it is money, water is money, how much water is going to that house.
Yeah.
But that MTU lets you know how much was used, right?
When things are working perfectly, this MTU should be sending the exact same number as this RTR.
Right. Now, is it possible that I get a certain amount of water and it lets you know that I use a certain amount of water, but I didn't use it because it's a leak? Like you said, it might be a leak or something somewhere, but it's letting that MTU, telling that MTU, this is how much I use, but I didn't use it because it's a leak in my house.
Well, it is possible, because that's what just happened. The RTR and the MTU weren't working together, so water was going through there, and this was not sending the accurate amount. Yes, that can happen, but it's rare, but it does happen.
And this is a rare event as well. So, and the rarity of that can be a possibility that happens because it has happened before. It might have not been 50,000, but I know certain residents have gotten water bills that they didn't use, but they got a certain amount of water. So you get all this water, you're not using it, but you're charged for it. And let's not get beside ourselves. When we use water or consume water or sewage and stuff like that, we have to pay to get it cleaned and all the other stuff. So I would assume they wasn't just paying for use of water. They were charged for sewage and all the other stuff. Is that correct too? The cleaning.
Absolutely, that is correct.
All that other thing, those other things too. So I don't want us just to say, okay, she uses this amount of water, oh my God, which is a big amount. But it was other fees that was attached to that a lot of people don't understand about the water bill as well. But seeing that those two devices could have a rarity of not, being, how it should be, I think she does have somewhat of a case because it's a rare case and it happens. It just happened too long. So how do we go back and try to fix it where how do we do that? How do we go back and fix something when it was just made aware 8 years later? How you decipher, because that can happen. Because I know a lot, and then on top of that, if this device messed up in 2011, what other residents' devices in 2011 may have did the same thing, and how do we detect that?
Well, the first part of that question, I don't know how we remedy it. I guess that's why we're here talking about it. That would be a council and a finance question. But the other end of that is, that's why we always go back to this. That's why we always refer back to RTR, because that is always accurate. That is always the accurate amount of water that went through the water bill. It went through the water meter, I'm sorry.
Now, the ones that we were supposed to get last year, I think council somewhat agreed because it was a coronavirus not to apply it, but we did vote yes on that. Mm-hmm. Now, those send a signal to the city if something's not working, correct?
Yes, it has a lot more safeguards than just a zero consumption or a no reads. There's 2021 safeguards put in place, so this doesn't happen.
Okay, when do we plan on putting those in?
Well, we were supposed to start at the end of September here, but the chip shortages set us back
Okay.
again because
Okay.
these have chips in them.
I'm sorry, you did say that. Thank you so much. I know we're gonna move this to the finance director, and how do we fix this problem? Because it's kind of hard to say whose fault it is, because if I was a landlord, I probably would look at my water bill too. It's checks and balances, but at the same time, we're not checking and doing our part as a city as well, making sure our devices are working. So how do we fix this problem?
Yeah. Madam Mayor,
Councilman Curley?
thank you. So I'm jumping in here, a lot of discussion, a lot of questions, a lot of answers have been battered around. So what I'm understanding, Darren, is this goes back all the way to 2006. Is that correct?
That's when we installed this new
Okay.
meter system, yes.
And that we're all convinced that the RTR never makes a mistake. The mistake was that the MTU and the RTR was not working together. Is that kind of what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's very accurate.
Okay, and for each unit that you're charged, I don't know what that background is. For each unit that's charged, it's how many gallons of water?
A unit of water is 748 gallons.
Okay, so we're taking 748 gallons times 4,675 units. That would fill a lot of swimming pools, wouldn't it?
It is a lot of water, and you nailed it. But I want to, as I mentioned before, this is not an unusual number to be on an RTR that was installed in 2006. It's not an unusual number at all. This is how much water people use.
So what we're kind of saying, and I know Randy's going to have to step in, as the mayor said. There was a problem as far back as 2006 that we're going to ask him, were they paying their bills back in 2006 on a regular basis? But if that's so we go, what is 2006 and now this is 2021. We're saying, well, you didn't make the mistake. Our device made a mistake. Or didn't catch up with one another. That's kind of what we're saying.
We're saying that the device malfunctioned, was defective. Maybe it was tampered with. I don't know the answer. I wasn't in that basement I was never in that basement, actually. Yeah. Tampering is, I can't explain how the guy in California used my credit card at McDonald's, but I mean, those type of things do happen.
Okay, Randy, got a lot of questions for you.
Hopefully you can hear me.
Well, we can hear you now. 2006, were they paying the water bill on a consistent basis since 2006?
I did not go back to 2006. I only went back to 2011. From 2011 through 2019, they did stay current with the water bill.
And do you have a record in front of you what the average cost of their water bill was between 2011 and 2019?
I do not have that in front of me, no.
Sounds like you said.
We can hear you.
So we can't hear you. Go ahead.
I do not have that in front of me. That was sent out to council though in an email attachment last Friday.
Mr.
Okay,
Curley?
so we can just, I'm sorry, I'm almost done, Kari. So we
can
can
answer your question.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think that's where I came up with it was over 4 units per month. So I don't know what the dollar amount is, but it averaged from 2011 to 2019 at least 4 units a month.
Okay, good. Thank you. That helps. So So Randy, I'm trying to figure this out. This $45,000 and change is not necessarily from 2011, from 2019. It's from 2006 to 2011. Is that, am I even close to being right?
No, we're assuming the MTU failed in 2011. So that amount would be a 2011 through 2019 number. Now the amount actually in question is, I believe, 43,000 that went on taxes. That includes activity from 2019 through 2021 because there was no payments made after the MTU was swapped out. So the $49,000 bill, I did a calculation to determine as best I could what the billing amount should have been and reduced it for the rates in place during those timeframes. That reduced the water bill down to 36,000, I want to say, which is where the landlord was given the letter of the payment options. Everything since that point has been due to non-payments and late fees because of non-payment. And the account had actually built back up to almost $46,000 because of usage that wasn't being paid for. So $3,900 was just paid by the landlord, and about $43,000 went on to taxes. So this is, it's actually, from a finance standpoint, it's a 2-year issue where they were notified in 2019 and then chose to ignore it and waited till it went on taxes to complain to council.
Councilwoman Moore.
So Randy, I have a question. Since it took, well, you kind of sort of answered part of it, but since it took 8 years of the unit being defective and building up to this $42,000, why did we only give them 2 years to pay it off?
Can't hear you, sir.
Per council policy for failing MTUs, we can offer, it depends on how long the MTU has been determined to be bad. 48 months is what can be offered as a payment plan, and that's what was offered in 2019. If they had paid the current amount plus, it was $750 some a month, which was the 4-year payment plan, we would have not charged penalties and interest. We would have not put it on the taxes. There was also another option where if they had paid it in full, there would have been an additional 40% discount for early payment. So the landlord actually could have gone and got a $23,000 loan, paid the whole thing off, and paid it over as many years as they chose to, and saved themselves a ton of money. But again, they ignored the letter and chose not to make a choice, which meant, you know, we're 2 years later and now it's suddenly on taxes and it's a problem.
Well, now that would be an assumption that they could actually go out and get a loan. I mean, that's an assumption, right? That's not, I mean, you don't know their credit, you don't know their history, correct?
That is true, but that was based on the council policy that's all I could offer them. Either a 4-year payment plan or a 40% discount if they paid it immediately. So we have a charter that says there's no free water. We have a council policy in place for failed MTUs, and there's no wiggle room on any of that unless council makes a choice tonight to create something different. But I am constrained by the charter and the council policy of what can be offered, and that's what was offered.
Let me ask you this question again, and Madam Mayor, if you
Yes,
don't
sir,
mind.
please.
And maybe I couldn't, maybe at one time your voice went out. Are you saying that they have not made a payment on their water bill in a number of months? I mean, there's been no payments from them other than that recent payment?
Correct. There was no payments for 2 years after the MTU was swapped out.
And
So
there's
they
no
ignored the letter. They ignored the letter that offered them a payment option. They didn't make any payments at all during that 2-year period. And it wasn't until it rolled onto taxes that it suddenly became an issue for them.
But even at that point, you're telling me they have not paid a water bill in a certain amount of time,
It was a 2-year period, correct?
as of this month, because we all just received our water bill this month.
They made a payment.
Can't hear you.
Councilwoman Lucido.
No, go ahead. Let Randy answer Harvey's question first.
Yeah.
Was a payment made about a week and a half ago.
Okay.
And that was the first one since July of 2019.
Do you remember how many units it was?
They just paid the $3,900 balance on the account, the amount that had not rolled onto taxes.
Frankly,
So
I
my
think
next
the
question-
20,
I think Councilwoman Lucido was first.
Sorry.
And then
Mr. Blum,
Councilman
do you have
Demarco.
PSNA up right now?
No, I'm at home. I don't have any access.
Oh, I was just wondering what their bills were the 2 months following the replacement of the meter, because there was definitely still people living there at that time. We know that for sure because they had called for brown water, for dirty water. So there was someone living there that was complaining about dirty water. So I was wondering what their bill was for the 2 months following to try to get an idea on how many units they were using at that time.
Mayor Pro Tem, I could answer that.
Okay.
One of those attachments we received in August 5th, 2019 is when we charged $49,439.43. And then that's when now the meter has started over, and the first month was 3 units, second month 7 units, third month 8 units, like each month. So it was at 18 units after 3 months.
So the average for 3 months would have been 9 units.
Or 6, yeah. 6.
Oh, 6 units. Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean, 6 units. So that's what they were averaging after the new meter. So,
Mhm.
and we're claiming they were averaging 50 units before the new meter.
Yeah, it was at least like 38 more per month, something like that.
Okay.
I'm gonna let Miss, is your last name Crock?
Yes, it's Croc.
Yes.
Thank you,
Good
Madam
evening. How are you?
Evening. My heart is racing a little bit, but happy to be having the discussion. Thank you all for your time. The one thing that I wanted to chime in on was the fact that Mr. Blum said that I ignored the letter from 2019. I did not ignore the letter. I called immediately to the city building. I spoke with several people there. I spoke with Beth on November 4th at 3:05 p.m. She explained it was a bad MTU, but she couldn't give me any more explanation. I spoke to Carol, the supervisor. She explained that the sending unit was not registering. There were some malfunctions in 2014, could have been going on for years, quote. Then I was put back to Beth. So she tried to get Mr. Blum. He was not in the office. Then I called again on 11/18 at 3:54 p.m. I left a message. I said, I've received no call back from the supervisor. I was told that he's aware of the problem. Sorry, he hasn't gotten back to you. He's aware, but he's busy. I said, okay, thank you. So at that point, and I didn't write down, and I don't know if calls are recorded or voicemails are recorded, but I left messages. And when I was told he's aware, but he's busy, I was like, okay, they know what's going on. I'm gonna stop bothering them and give them a chance to get back to me.
Ms. Crock, thank you for attending. And all due respect, in 2019, when you got a bill like that, that was a buildup from years and years and years. And you didn't check what I don't know who was living there, but you don't check your water bill to see what's going on, because that's a long time. Don't you agree?
I agree, yes. So our first rental property, first time ever renting, our lease agreement states that the renter, the tenant, is explicitly responsible for all utilities. Water had never been shut off. They'd been living there year after year. So, I mean, I had no indication that there was anything wrong whatsoever.
So what made you look at it in 2019?
I received this letter from the city.
What letter was that?
It's a letter from Mr. Blum stating that in June 2019, there was a new MTU installed and some equipment failures were identified. And then there's a bunch of very large figures. And then it says, I can offer you, what he said, a 48-month payment arrangement. You would pay your current charges plus $745.47 each month. And I had 1 month to decide how I was going to pay. And that's when I started calling the office to try and understand what was going on, because
Okay.
it was astronomical.
I see what you're saying. So you didn't know what happened until you got that letter.
Exactly.
Okay. Mr. Blum, that was the first time that was the first time she received notice of a bill that large. I guess we don't send out bills we just send out regular water bills. So, when it gets to a certain amount, we don't make aware to the customer when it's over a certain amount or something's going wrong. I can't hear you tonight.
The bills were mailed out, but they were going to the tenant, not the landlord.
Mhm.
So the letter to the property owner would have been the first time, unless, somebody was watching online or something. That would be the first time the property owner would be aware of it.
I thought we just changed the policy to not cutting off the water not too long ago, and we just started adding it to the taxes. I thought we just started adding it to the taxes, right? Or am I wrong?
We've always put it on taxes.
Okay, I thought we was
We
cutting off.
stopped
Okay.
doing water shutoffs probably 4 or 5 years ago now.
So we did water shut-offs 4 or 5 years ago. She should have been the main one because that's high, correct? So she should have noticed the tenant should have noticed a water cutoff if it's that high and it wasn't paying it. So she should have been aware a long time ago, right?
The retro bill didn't happen until.
I can't hear you.
The retro bill did not happen until July of 2019. That's when the MTU was swapped out. The new reads were given to finance and we billed the retro amount. So, they were paying, there was no reason to shut water off because bills were the older bills were being paid.
And when they stopped being paid, what year was that? You said again?
2019.
They stopped being paid in 2019?
Yes.
Correct.
But how much, and it was what? You said she could have paid $23,000 in 2019 with the 40% off?
Somewhere around there, correct.
36,000. That was the discounted rate.
So at 2019, that's 1 year. So you telling me her bill would have came up to 20 something $1,000? I'm confused. Because if they've been paying it up to a certain year, and then in 2019, they stopped paying it, it shouldn't have been that much, right?
The retro amount is the amount we're talking about. That's what was billed in July of 2019.
The
Prior
retro
to that,
amount.
they just got their monthly bill and it was paid.
Okay. So they wasn't paying that, and then they got this big lump sum added to it. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
So how would they know about that lump sum? I hope none of us got a retro bill coming to us. Oh my God. So how do people know about that? How would she know about that?
I'm not aware of any notices that come out of 10 Mile on the retro charges. Excuse me. I assume when the bill shows up is when people would first find out.
So how would someone know it? No, and then on that retro bill, she was added interest, correct, as well? On something she wasn't aware of.
There was no penalty or interest added until a choice was not made. Excuse me, I'm getting dry here. Until a choice was not made and then payments were not made. Otherwise, there was no retro late charges or anything like that. It was only the retro usage of water.
So should we be charging her for a mistake on the renter side? Or, who has something to say? This is a lot. And I know it's definitely a lot on you, Ms. Crott, because that is. And do your renters still live there, Ms. Crott?
Oh, since COVID hit, they actually weren't paying rent for like since April. And as soon as I found out about their past due water bill, I paid it immediately. That was on August 9th. It wasn't last week. It was a month ago. I paid the $3,194.26, which is kind of what I relayed to council. This is not what we do. This is not how we operate. We pay our bills and take care of our business. So, I mean, everyone has agreed with me that I've spoken to. This is a shock. We feel for you. But I don't understand how I received this letter saying, oh, you can pay us a discounted amount of $36,000. Just do that in 48 months. That's what we can offer you. Yet I could not ever speak to someone who could explain to me why I was being charged that or what was going on. I'm just supposed to say, okay.
Okay, I have a question. How long was you living in that house before you gave it to the renter? Because if you was living in that house paying your water bill all this time, and then the renters took over, they was paying rent all that time. I'm trying to find out where did Mr. Blum, where did the retro come in at? If everybody paying bills on time, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going wrong at.
Because the meter was
Retro
broke.
amount
Because the
is
meter was broke, so he went back
based
and
on
got,
right.
okay.
So with the broken meter, the bills are coming, telling the tenant what to pay. They're paying that bill. They had no idea it wasn't reading correctly. Neither did I.
Right, so why can't we find out what they normally, I think that's what council was trying to do in the first beginning, find out what they were originally paying, using the usage normally for that year, and find out how much that year was, and then add the 2019 to 2021, because when you got the bill, you didn't pay no payments on it. Why? Because you didn't agree to it. Is that right, Ms. Crack?
I thought it had to have been a mistake. I mean,
There.
but I paid them.
Councilman DeMonico. I'm looking at her, that's why, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor.
No, Councilman DeMonico, and go ahead. I'm looking down at her, not up, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. So I guess all I was gonna say is after just hearing all this, I just do not believe this water was used, I guess, frankly. We had a recent case where there was like $5,000 between 2 months charged to someone else, and a resident reached out. We were able to get like reads by the hour, and it was showing all this consistent usage. And it did look like, in fact, that water went through, because then they had a couple leaks at the house, and it was terrible for this person to have to pay the $5,000. But we were actually able to prove that usage was used. The meter actually read it all, and that was correct. In this instance, I just do not see where, especially between before and after we put a new meter in, the usage is still somewhat the same, that this water was actually used. So I don't think actually the city's even paying for it. This water never went through the pipes at this house, at least. So I guess I was just going to offer a motion here. I'd just like to motion that we waive the charge on, let's see, the charge, it looks like it was on August 5th, 2019, the $49,439.43, and basically just waive then any penalties and interest that would have been caused by that charge also, and fix this resident's, at this point now, property tax bill would be my motion.
I don't know about that one, because we got to have a better understanding. So what are you assuming, Councilman, that how much she pays? Do you have an amount in your, because I know you know how to add and subtract really fast.
If we remove that charge, then it would just be this like average of 4 units a month, which frankly is more than I've paid per month. I get 3 or 4 units a month. Miss Croc's already paid, it was like 4.86, I think, in my spreadsheet. They've paid 5 units a month, at least from 2011 to 19. I don't remember if that included the 2 years after, but they've already paid a water bill of like 5 units a month almost. And now we're saying we undercharged them $50,000. And looking at these monthly bills and the usage goes up and down. I mean, it is a little wild of swings on a few of these months. But I just am not convinced that any of this water went through. The only proof we had is that one reading. I mean, do we even have a picture of the meter? I mean, we can't even, I haven't seen any proof from this meter. We're claiming it was 4,675, which I just did some math. If your meter was at that and it was installed in 06, that's like 28 units a month. I don't know who's using 28 units a month at their house. I don't think I've ever seen that. If someone filled their pool for a month, you'll get 28 units maybe, but not every single month all year. I just do not see that this usage, this water has not been used. I am just not convinced of that.
Hold on, Mr. Palucci, I want to ask Mr. DeMonico. So what you put on the table was how many years, from what year to what year do you want her to pay the late fees and things like that?
Madam
From
Mayor.
2019, I mean, from 2019 till from right now, was you talking about that?
Madam Mayor.
Hold on one second. I'm trying to wait till Councilman DeMonico answer the question. Did you hear me?
Oh, you were asking.
Yeah, because you
Oh.
put the motion on the floor. So I want to know what year was you saying she should pay? Was it from 2019 till right now to
So I'm
the
not-
present?
Yeah, so I'm not saying to waive like any water bill. It's just when we read the meter on July 1st, it looks like, when the actual meter reading happened, we were saying it read 4,675, but their bill before that said 732. So it went up, as Mr. Paolucci said, 3,943 units. All of a sudden, when we go in to change that register thing and the MTU, I'm saying just remove that charge as if that charge, that 3,943 units never happened. Still, for sure, she already paid the last 2 years, where she just said, the 3,100 and whatever dollars. Like, that's fine. Certainly don't remove that. Like, that was the actual water usage. I believe that was used, the 3 units, 7 units, 8 units that we were talking about that happened right after we put the new MTU and new register in. For sure, charge her for those, but not that one-time charge of 3,943 units. I'm just not convinced that actually ever happened.
So you saying don't pay the retro charge, pretty much?
Don't pay the which charges?
The retro.
Right. Yeah, just clear that, and we'd have to clear interest and stuff too, because there's going to be like ridiculous penalty charge. There's a $2,400 penalty, so we'd have to like remove all those penalties too.
Okay, I agree to that. Councilwoman Lucido.
Oh, Madam Mayor, are you supporting the motion? That, because there was a motion but no support. I just wanted to make sure there was support to the motion before we had that discussion. So I didn't know if you supported it.
Well, before I support, I want to make sure what he was saying agreed to what I was thinking. And then before I may support it, I want to hear what the director said, so I can get the councilman's idea of what he's putting out there and see what the director is saying. So is that what you were saying, Councilman DeMonico, that we dissolve the retro fee and all penalties attached to that, correct?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lucido.
So I will support that motion that we're just going to remove those units used, because I know the price has been adjusted. So the units, no amount, if that's what was the motion, correct?
Yeah, Madam Mayor.
I think you're gonna have to repeat that, Councilman DeMonico. Yes, Councilman Curley.
I already support.
Okay.
Before we ask for the vote, and I think we all will share our opinion. I think Darren had his hand up, and unless he was doing something else. It looked like he wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna let him say something, but
okay, all right,
you
good.
raised your hand. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Director.
Okay, thank you again for letting me speak one last time. So in reference to Cardi, this is actually the original equipment that was in the house right here. So we have it. When we have a discrepancy that high, we keep the original equipment. So these are actually it right here. And then I did want to just make mention that and we'll just keep these dates. On 8/12/19 is when we changed the unit. And on 10/15 to 11/15, they used 32 units. We sent a notice to them that said you have high usage. And then on 11/15 to 12/15, they used 27 units in that 1 month. So they were using, that was with the brand new MTU that we know is working properly. So we know that they were using that amount of water sometimes. They had leaks.
So
Or
Director,
use the water. I don't ever say leaks. I don't know where people use their water. The water went through the meter.
so what do
We
you
can
think
see
is
that when
fair?
we changed the MTU. Now, but 2 months later, they used 32 units and 27 units.
Yeah, but so we went over the first 3 months, over 3, 7, and then 8, and then 5, and then, yeah, 32 and 27. I don't know. It's the
Yeah,
middle.
yeah, it drives you crazy if you try figuring out the patterns that people use water. Trust me, I do it.
Councilwoman,
So, in my opinion, I mean, I understand, like I said, I understand that equipment breaks, it's technology. Maybe we should go back to the old way, then it would prevent that from happening. We just send meter readers out there, just saying. But anyways, I understand that, but I do think that there is some neglect on the city, because it sounds to me like this could have been broken for the potential of 8 years with us not catching it. If it was a few months, like I went back and said before, or maybe even 1 year, if we would have caught it. But if any other, I mean, this is like not just the $5,000. I mean, we added over 3,000 units on their water bill in one bill. No, like I said, no one can afford that. It's unreasonable that it wasn't caught sooner. I feel like the city should take some blame because it wasn't caught sooner.
Well, it's certainly a long time. And Darren explained it, what goes on, and what I got out from Darren is this is an MTU, it does this, and this is an RTR that is faultless, if I can use that word, council members and mayor, that the RTR is faultless. So if I'm using 2 units a month, which I have for about 10 years now, and I suddenly get a bill for $80,000, and they show me the RTR, that it says, no, wait, Harvey, look, go down your basement. You got a leak. You have a leak someplace. But am I correct, Randy? Randy, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So am I correct? And let me make the assumption that Darren is correct with the RTR. And we went back that we had to pay Detroit for that water that the RTR claims that this tenant used.
Correct. We paid Detroit for the water, and then we paid the sanitary district for the sewage, because water went in the pipe somehow.
okay, we got a motion and support. You guys
I have
ready
a
to go
question.
ahead
I have a
and,
question, Mayor.
oh, I'm sorry, who was that?
Sylvia.
Oh,
Sylvia.
Councilwoman, I'm sorry, I'm looking down and up, sorry.
So Randy, what is the procedure of us paying somebody's taxes? How does that work? Since now it's placed on her taxes, so it's like away from our county, correct? I mean, away from our city and with the county.
Depending on whether a mortgage company paid the taxes or not, what we would do is we'd have to remove it from the taxes and issue a revised tax bill.
With a credit.
Well, we would just remove the delinquent water.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I don't think she get a credit because she didn't pay anything on that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you guys ready to go?
Madam Mayor,
I call you Councilman Albright. Next time. Albright.
I just had a question. If Councilmember DeMonico could just read back what the nature of the motion is, because I know when he made the motion, there's been some additional discussion. I just wanted to be clear, and especially for anybody watching these proceedings tonight, just so we know exactly what the motion is for purposes of the minutes as well.
Sure. The motion was to remove the retroactive bill on 16104 Juliana. That's in the amount of $49,439.43. And then also take care of any interest or penalties that resulted from that amount and fix the eventual property tax bill for that property.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Councilman
bef-
Curley.
thank you.
You usually be ready to go, Councilman Curley.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Before we take the vote, and I am going to vote for a yes for the motion, but just let me say, I almost said on behalf of the council, but maybe they would agree that Darren did his job tonight. He presented the facts that he knows them, and that however the vote goes, Darren, I'm glad we got you where you're at.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Councilwoman.
if I can just ask Mr. Blum one more question. In your opinion, is that the way the motion should read, or should we read it where we're just removing those what we billed for those units? Because I know that the water bill was adjusted a few times after that because you went back and prorated the rates. And Councilman DeMonico put in there that the amount that was billed, should we adjust the motion to reflect just those units that were billed at that time? Or will it not make any difference? We can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
I would adjust the motion to reflect to remove the units billed, because you are correct. It's already been reduced based on from the original billing amount.
Mr. Bloom, one question. Even though it's been reduced, wouldn't it still have incurred penalties, even with the reduction on the reduced price?
Yes, and and the penalties, yeah. So penalties related to the units billed.
Correct. So we would still have to.
There'd still be penalties for the unpaid amount for the regular stuff going forward.
Were there any penalties added to the retro?
Not until payments arrangements were not made. So there was no retro penalties.
However, after they weren't made, there was penalties added, correct?
Correct.
So we do need to also incur those, as Councilman said, we do need to add that in and not take it out.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
I agree with that assessment. I guess I think we're all on the same page as to the intent.
Yes.
Right? Like, I certainly don't want, she shouldn't have like a $10,000 credit or something strange after that. It'd just be as if that charge never happened at that point.
Right.
Correct.
I don't know if Mr. Albright, if that is all good enough, what we said so far, but I think we're all on the same page there.
Could you read, Madam Mayor, could Councilmember read back the motion once again? In light of
Absolutely.
it,
Should I guess at this point then, it sounds like Mr. Blum, you'd understand if we say we're removing the billing then for the 3,943 units from, looks like we calculated that on July 1st, 2019, it looks like. We remove that motion makes sense then?
Yep.
Okay, so Mr. Albright then, just, one more time, just for the sake of being on the same page, then I would motion that we remove the 3,943 units of water that was billed on or around July 1st, 2019 at 16104 Juliana.
Second.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yeah,
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido.
Yes.
Move right along. Payroll
Well,
and bills.
all right. Never mind. I'll
My kids gotta go to school in the morning, Councilman Curley. Okay. All this talking.
I'm
happy they're going back to school. I think every parent on here is waiting.
You're
At the
absolutely
end.
right. I've been talking a lot, but I'll bring it up under council.
No, go. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Councilman.
No, no, it should be long under council report. So let's go ahead. We'll get payrolls and bills, and Sarah always does that. Go ahead, Sarah.
Madam
you
Mayor,
so
I'll motion
much.
to pay the bills in the amount of $3,246,754.87.
Way to go.
Second.
Support.
Motion and support. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Thank you to our finance director and our our director of DPW, Mr. Palucci, for helping us solve this. And Mrs. Crock, if I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. I'm just reading it how I'm saying it. And I'm glad we were able to come to some agreement that could help you move forward. But I bet you this time you're gonna start checking that water bill.
We are never renting again.
God bless you, okay?
Thank you so much.
Have a good
everyone.
one. Next is the hearing of the public. It's the second hearing of the public. It's now open. You get 3 minutes. If you didn't get to speak in the beginning, you have a second chance to speak now. Ms. Walton?
Mayor. I don't see any hands raised at this time, and there's nothing in the chat.
Okay. Seeing that there's no one. Oh, Miss
Tracy would like to
Tracy
talk.
wants to talk. Tracy, I'm sorry. Good evening.
Trice.
Good evening. I would just like to address the council and let them know, since I've moved to my home, I've had water in front of my house. It could be 90 degrees out and there's still water in front of my house. I don't water my grass, the rain does. I've asked on numerous occasions for someone to come out here and explain, because prior to me moving in, they dug up the grass all the way from the house to the sidewalk and put a different meter up there. And there was hay all over it when I moved in here. And I keep saying, why is all this water always in front of the house? Am I being charged for this? Nobody will come out. Nobody's done anything about it. It's only me and my husband here and my grandson. And I mean, my water bill is kind of high, but I just pay it and move on. I hope I'd never get a bill as large as the ladies, but I think somebody should check into that. And then when they came one time about when I complained about the hump in the grass, all the humps that they left in the grass, they said, we have to change your meter in your ceiling in your basement. I said, okay, come on in. They changed it and they gave me a credit on my bill, my water bill, because they had been overcharging me. I never knew it. So there is water being used out front, but no one can explain to me where it's coming from.
Did you get her address?
No, I was gonna tell her once she said she was done, but Miss
I can send it to, I'll send it to Elkie Doom. I'm sorry.
Okay,
the
thank
baby
you.
in the
Any
background.
other issues you have, send it to her as well. Thank you. Are you done? I don't
Yes.
want to interrupt you.
No, I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else, please?
Yes, I'd like to say something.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. I actually am only speaking because I heard you ask a question earlier, and I don't think anyone adequately answered it about the water bill. I work at the water department, and I'm just part-time. I'm not a know-it-all or anything like that, but you had asked if it was possible for someone to pay more for their water bill than what they actually used. Basically, because of the way the meters work, the dial meters, if it fails, if the digital one fails, it actually is like a clock and it slows down. So it's telling people that they're using less water, not more. So that's what happened in this scenario. It was telling this property owner that less water was being used than actually was. So when it was finally replaced, we had to go back and figure out how much water was actually used. And we had to use the old time dial because it's more accurate once the digital one goes down. So I just wanted to address the fact that residents are not being charged for more water than they use. It's possible they could be charged less than they use, but normally not more. And that was my only thing.
Thank you for that information. I think with her, I think that was exactly what happened. But the thing about it was all that money, all that retro came at one time, you know? So I feel like if they were paying consistently and that was accurate, they would have paid on time like they, you know, was doing in the beginning. And so
I understand. I just didn't want
Yeah.
residents to misunderstand and think that they're being charged for more.
thank you.
Yep, no problem.
And that's coming from someone from the water department. So I'm gonna listen to you. Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak?
Mayor, I don't see any hands raised and there's nothing in the chat.
Hey.
Okay. All right. Well, the second hearing of the public is now closed. For everyone that participated in the first and second one, thank you for using your voice. We'd like to hear what you have to say because we care about you. That is why we have these meetings. So we're going to go right into mayor and council reports, starting with Councilman DeMonico.
Thanks, Mayor. I guess first, start with a PSA to check your water meter. Just go in the basement, see what that number is. Go on your water bill. It should match. If not, you know who to call. Call Mr. Paolucci there. Call the city for sure if they do not match. They should be very close. I mean, it might be a couple off because depending on when your last bill was calculated, but it should be very close. Or give me a call. Be happy to walk you through it too. Second, yeah, everyone just keep being careful. Of course, COVID-19 is not gone yet. The Delta variant, probably other variants, I think we'll be living with a lot of that for the somewhat near future. So just be safe. You know, I think at least I'll be in favor of continuing just Zoom just to get less human interaction as possible just until we're out of this pandemic. And then just make sure, as we said way earlier in this meeting, Constitution Week 9/17 through 23. Just look over that Constitution one more time. It doesn't hurt to learn a new thing or two each year. I try to do that for sure each week, each year. And then also just September's Brain Aneurysm Awareness Month. Obviously, I have had one. So if you ever have a headache that is the worst pain you've ever felt, for sure call 911 immediately. And the Eastpointe will show up very quickly. Everything was great with them, but just be aware of that. And that is all, Mayor.
Thank you.
Hey.
Councilman Crowley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll talk really fast, so you got to go to school. My own thoughts on my own feeble brain, ladies and gentlemen. If all the time that I sit there in that chair, I could never understand when you have a water bill that is late, it goes on the people's taxes, right? How dare you not pay us their money? Now that's going to go in your taxes. I could never understand why we charge interest and a penalty on a water bill that's due. I don't understand. If it's going to go in their tax bill, my question I asked to myself, is that penalty enough? Why do we even charge, we charge interest, that doesn't go to Detroit. We charge a penalty, that doesn't, I guess it's a cash cow. Maybe that's too harsh of a term. And Randy, if it is, I apologize, but that's my thought is why are we even charging interest and penalty if it's going to go to the taxes? Secondly, and this is serious, on Saturday at 8:46 in the morning, 9/11, as we all know what happened 20 years ago. So I don't know what any of you are going to do. I'll be at a charity golf outing and I intend to stop playing and bow my head and pray for all those that were lost at 9/11. And that's 9:46. If you can write that down, people. You don't have to take a long time. Just pause for a few seconds. And the third thing is that monstrosity of concrete that we have in the middle of 9 Mile Road in front of the police department. I don't know what the H is there for. It's ridiculous. And if we ever got a report from the police department, they're going to say, oh my God, Harvey, you wouldn't believe all the people who run into this thing. I don't know why the hell it's even there, to be honest with you. We certainly don't need another light to be ripped down, but if we can legally rip that out, I would love to be able to see it. So I don't know, maybe Elke can let me know if it's even legal to do that. I think did we not get money from the state or something like that? If we did, oh my God, we got money from the state. That means we can't do anything to improve our city because the state gave us the money. Madam Mayor, go to school. That's it.
Councilwoman Moore.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I really don't have too much to say tonight. I am looking forward in 2 weeks of going to the MML. Got my room, got my car reserved, and it will be my first trip with it and learning the different things. I've never been to Grand Rapids, so it's going to be a wonderful event. And for locally, if anyone is in need of the COVID shot, I was able to get my 17-year-old son to Rite Aid. He didn't really want to take the shot too much, but he's 17, so he's still up under my care for the next 2.5 months. So I was able to get him in, and I called like same day and got him an appointment at Rite Aid within like 3 hours. And he was like, no, that's not right. You shouldn't be able to get a shot that quick. I thought it took weeks and months to get the shot. Well, it doesn't anymore. So there are no lines formed there. You know, anyone can go in and get their COVID shot if they want to get vaccinated. And that's about all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you everyone tonight for all your information, Mr. Blum, Mr. Palucci with the water bill situation. I do appreciate that. Really quick, I would like to remind everyone we have Eastpointe Roseville Fraser Chamber of Commerce is having their Salute to Excellence dinner coming up on September 16th. If anyone's interested in attending, they can contact the chamber and purchase tickets. Also, I wanted to let everyone know that RARE, which is our Eastpointe and Roseville Recreation Authority, they're going to start having swimming available for kids. It's going to be available at Roseville High School. If it should have been in your book. If not, you can check them out on Facebook. They are hiring lifeguards. So they're looking for lifeguards. You only have to be 15. You can take their course, pays $12 an hour, but they are definitely in need of lifeguards and pool attendants. The pool attendants do need to be 18 years old. If you're interested, you can contact RARE. Their email address is sfrederick@rare/michigan.org. It's also available on their Facebook page or on their website. And that's all I have this evening, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for attending this meeting. Well, everyone here is happy kids are back to school safely. I know I am. My kids started last week and they were so excited. So was Mom. But this Sunday we did my 4th annual back to school event. I was so excited to do it right here in the city of Eastpointe at Fresh Choice. They have a restaurant there called Crunchy Chicken, and they donated over 100 kid meals to the children in our community, as well as backpacks, socks, Raymond International Church, as well as several other churches that do not reside in the city of Eastpointe, but outside of the city, and also business owners, Elevation, the barbershop H&H Salon, or 2 barbershops that actually donated the haircuts and hairstyles for the young women and the little boys, so they can look their best on their first day of school. So they were ready, had clean socks, book bags, they were full for for that night, and they looked their best with haircuts, and little girls had their hair done. So I was glad that this is my 4th annual, and the people that allow me to continue to do this for the community, it's a lot. And so for people to come and connect and partner with the mayor of the city and make sure our residents have the things that they need. I know we are elected officials, and some of our priorities are policy making and dealing with the budget and things like that. But actually bringing the community together is another thing that I feel is our priority. Also, the bike club that we have on Sunday at 5 at Fresh Choice is amazing. We got up to almost 30 people now. I just bought me a new bike from Walmart. It's all pink. My daughter called it the pink lemonade, and I have the basket in front. So I'm excited about that, riding my new bike. Getting, health and wellness back into the city, since we are still doing somewhat social distancing. I attended Hook and Reel in Roseville, a new restaurant, and I'm so excited with the Chamber of Commerce. We got so many new businesses coming into the city of Eastpointe, and even during COVID, we had businesses. So I just want to thank the building department, the economic developer, and also all the way to the city manager's office for making this whole thing work for them and not giving them a hard time, because we have businesses that are investing in the city. They're moving from far to, far away, near, and coming right here in the city of Eastpointe. We're not just talking about hair salons. We're talking about karate, people that bring karate and, all sorts of things that we never had here in the city. And if they had it, they haven't been here in years. So thank you for investing in our city, and also the new families. And it's a lot of people that can't pay their rent and can't pay their utility bills. I want to say, go to macombgov.org/C as in cat, E as in egg, R as in rat, A as in apple to find more information about that, or you can call 586-469-7900. That's 586-469-7900 to help pay your rent and pay your utilities. We want to make sure that our residents have what they need to continue to move forward. And also we have 3,229 people that have COVID and 76 deaths up to this date. So we still need to, wear our masks for those who haven't been vaccinated or what people feel comfortable with. So I don't tell people to get vaccinated. I don't tell people what to do with their body. It's your life, but do what's best for you. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and do an adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yeah, absolutely.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
and Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
In adjourn, everybody have a safe week. God bless.
Congratulations, Sarah.